Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another edition of Yes Have Some Podcast. I can't believe we're still doing this. I thought we would be long gone by
yeah,
this
I'm
point.
surprised.
5 years?
I think
hung on
I
this
think that
long.
every week. Yeah.
Wow.
We've been celebrating this. We're really milking this 5-year anniversary.
Yeah, we've been celebrating
Well,
for
it's the
a
entire
while.
year.
It's the
is
entire
is the
year.
anniversary. Yeah.
Super excited tonight. Something a little bit different. We got some special guests. I'm excited. We're going to talk about a little documentary that Abby and I watched this morning. Jake, I think you've watched it a couple times, and
I've seen it a few times for sure.
it's really cool stuff. This is right in our wheelhouse and in everybody's wheelhouse. So let's get to it. Our special guests joining us, and they've both been here before, but they're back. They created this documentary that we're going to be talking about. John Campopiano. Piano? I screwed it up. I nailed it.
Beautiful.
Stick the landing.
John, how are you, man?
Stunning. I'm great, man. How are you? Thanks
Dude,
for having me.
Absolutely. And David Bigalow. David, how are you doing today, sir?
Great. Thanks for having us and talking about Snapper.
Dude, this is fun. So, like, I guess we should set the stage for everybody, but it's probably better for the two of you to set the stage because Lord knows I'm not going to get it right because I'm a professional podcast host. No, so it's this documentary on Snapper. It's a movie that never came to fruition. It's late 80s horror movie in the Northeast, and I'm just going to let you guys do it because, like I said, I just watched the documentary for the first time, and I found it literally very intriguing. Like, I knew nothing about this going in. Jake was like, "Hey, we're doing this. John's coming on the show. It's about the Snapper documentary." I was like, "Cool, yeah, bring it on. Let's do it."
Bless his heart. Yeah.
But John, why don't you set the stage for us so everybody knows what I'm talking about here.
Yeah. So Snapper. So it started. Mark Vo and Mike Savino are indie filmmakers in Massachusetts. They've been making films since the mid '80s when they were in college together. And their sort of claim to fame in the cult scene is Attack of the Killer Refrigerator, which is a short horror film that was released on VHS somehow and is now worth a lot of money somehow.
Oh,
and,
really? Is it like a rare kind of... Because when we saw the clips of the Attack of the Killer Refrigerator,
yeah,
I was like, oh, I have to see this. This is incredible.
That seems to be a lot of people's reaction to it. And I think it was released on VHS in the early 90s and had a limited run. And I think just over the years, like collectors it's become kind of a coveted piece for collectors, and It's a lot of fun. And so I was talking to Mark and Mike. They're in Worcester, Massachusetts, which isn't too far from where I am, and Dave. And so I've known them for a couple of years and wanted to talk to them about the refrigerator film. And so got together with them to write this article about the fridge, and they knew that I'm a huge Jaws fan. So at the end of this interview, Mark said casually, like, "Oh, by the way, like we also try to make this movie about a man-eating snapping turtle," and like it clearly piqued my interest. But then like we went our separate ways for the day, and I didn't really think anything of it. And then over the course of like the next week or two, he started texting me photos from this shoot and of like the snapping turtles and like the animatronic turtles, and I was like, "Wow, they really went for it," And I thought, wouldn't that be a cool, short documentary to tell the story of this failed movie, So that's how it started. Very
cool. And David, how did you get involved in this?
Well, John and I have known each other for a few years. We got to be associated. We both work at WGBH in Boston, the PBS station. And of course, we talked about it a little bit on the last time I appeared on this podcast. I was an extra in Jaws, and John's one of the biggest collectors, and that meant we had to be friends whether I liked it or not.
Yeah, I love
He had
that.
to collect you.
That's a great story. I love that.
Exactly.
Like I think we joked about that, right?
Yeah.
We made the jokes about John displaying you in his collection.
In a glass case.
Yeah. I love that.
On the beach. But John, he told me about this idea that he wanted to do this short documentary. And, during the pandemic, we had, there's a couple projects that we were working on. We had shot this before the pandemic started. But we really were able to take advantage of doing it. And I edited it here at my place, more than an hour from John, we were just doing remote review and playback and all this stuff. So we were able to basically get it done together remotely, which, all of, WGBH has been doing lately too. So a lot of those practices are kind of already in play and we know how to deal with that. But I thought it was really interesting because I'm a bit older, obviously. If I was in Jaws, I've got to be older. And I remember that heyday time in Boston. We didn't have a lot of film productions here like we do now, because of the tax incentives that they have, and more productions have come here because of those tax incentives. But back then, it was just beginning to kind of be an indie scene. And a couple of films like Next Stop Wonderland and Squeeze and a few kind of like, were getting produced, but they were really far and few between. But we definitely had a very vibrant community of people who were students and aspiring filmmakers, myself included. And I think that's what resonated about the story was, there's a lot of these people out there. You don't get to hear about their stories of the blood, sweat, and tears and the expense they put into these kinds of projects. And I think that's what's really great about Snapper is that you're capturing that kind of a passion. Even though it didn't get produced, I think that the story is a valuable one to tell about friendships and collaboration, and one that I think that's more more than it getting made. I think that there's a certain amount of just value to having those experiences.
For sure, yeah. I mean, just my first takeaway is, and I'm not the horror aficionado that maybe Jacob Walsh is, but my first takeaway is there's definitely something very charming about this time period, right? So, they talk about, or it's talked about in the documentary, and I don't want to give everything away, but one of the things was they decided to do it on film and not do it on video, which no matter how low budget it is, it just gives it like
better
that
aesthetic.
A real feeling, like for lack of better terms, it feels like a real thing, right? And like even now, like when you look at like anybody with an iPhone can make something that looks of quality, like technically it looks like it's a real thing, but it doesn't. It's missing that element where it's like the difference between like a low budget movie and a high budget movie, and even if they're using like similar equipment or whatever. So there's definitely an aesthetic. And just kind of that grassroots, like the way that it's covered with the turtle and how they did the underwater shots with the the tinfoil and the reflection. It's just
the practical effects like still hold up because there was so much passion behind it. It's almost like that was like the drive behind them wanting to make the movie in and of itself. Like,
and also, can I just
of course they were good.
Let me put this out there. All documentaries should be 30 minutes. I loved it.
Yes, please.
You're in.
It's perfect. In and out.
You learn, and you come away with information, and you're on with your day. Jake, did you know anything about this before hearing about the documentary?
No, I mean, I've known John for a while here, and but before John brought it to my attention, no, I've never heard of it. But one of the things that me and John have sort of bonded as friends over our mutual love for these kind of movies, older horror films that feature, I don't know, alligators or, Sasquatch or just whatever. Like, this is the kind of stuff that we both love. And it's been really cool, like getting all the behind the scenes, clips and photos from John as you guys have been working on it and everything. But no, I'd never heard of it. I don't know. I don't know if anybody had heard of it before John.
I don't think so.
John and David have brought it to the world.
That's been kind of like one of the reactions that's sort of funny is that people will say, "Well, God, I never heard of this. Like, this is amazing." And like, I never want to respond with like, "Well, of course you did." Like, but it's like because you haven't though, because it never. Yeah. It lived in garages and it lived wherever all the materials from the project lived. Until Dave and I started working on it. So.
Right.
That's part of the fun of it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's got to be some pride in unearthing that.
That's a big difference between making films today and making films back in 1989. You didn't have the internet to sort of show off and get more eyeballs on it. These guys made Snapper, the trailer for Snapper, because they wanted a reel to send out to only people they thought could help them fund the feature.
Right.
So today, they would very likely, get a Facebook page and put the trailer online and, start a Kickstarter or and probably get a lot more eyeballs aware of the project. And even if they just created a kick-ass trailer in the end, there would be some recognition to what they did. And that's the thing is going practical, I think, is one of these things. A lot of people are still really nostalgic for that. They tend to see a lot of the edges and a lot of the issues with CGI when it's done poorly over practical and the films that have been practically done. I mean, obviously there's some that don't do it well, but people sort of have a bit more of a respect for going through, and like that technique with the tinfoil and the lights and the smoking up the room. I mean, that was a really inspired idea. I wouldn't even think to do that. I don't know that many people could sort of come up with that idea.
No, I would have just been like,
really well.
Yeah, I enjoyed it so much I put on a Gamera movie today. Like after watching the documentary, I was like, dude, this is tight. This is reminding me of like really good effects.
I would have definitely been like, well, we only have one, mold of the prop, so throw it in the water. We got about 10 seconds to film this thing. Like, that's how genius I am.
But that's one of the great things about the documentary. Craig, you're kind of touching on this, but just the fact that like most people don't know how much, like even a trailer, 3 minutes of footage, people don't know how much like work really goes into that kind of stuff. And this documentary is really great at showing you just like
I
how
think
much
content
time and resources are going into it.
Yeah.
So how did they feel when you guys said, "Hey, we want to do a documentary about this"? Like, were they surprised, or were they like, "Finally, we've been waiting"?
No, they were definitely surprised. I mean, I think there were moments throughout the process when either I'd go pick up footage from Mike or whatever, where he would always sort of say like, "Oh, this is so great, man," but like, what's the story? Like, I think that their reaction was kind of like what a lot of us have. Like, if anybody wants to talk to us about our creative endeavors, like our knee-jerk reaction was like, well, what do I have to offer? Like, why do you want to talk to me? And obviously they didn't have the perspective that I had and that Dave had, which is like, no, there's an interesting story here that maybe you guys don't see, but I think we see it. And, for me as like kind of an archive junkie, like I saw kind of all the stuff that they had from the project with the footage and the photos. And I was like, no, like there's a story here. And I think at a certain point, I think that they just trusted Dave and I, and they were like, all right, you guys go do it. And we'll see, like have fun doing it. And I think once they saw what we were doing, they kind of understood that it was about Snapper, but it was also about them as creative partners and friends. And, I was really adamant about keeping what happened after Snapper as part of the doc, because I think you see a progression, like they make the refrigerator and it kind of does its thing. And then they learn a little bit more and they want to shoot it on 16, and then they do Snapper. And then from there, they go on and they do that HBO short and win an award. So like there's this kind of progression, this growth that you sort of see them kind of experiencing and reflecting on, which I thought was really, really cool. And so that was a big part of the story, I think, too.
Yeah, I want to see that HBO short. That's very cool. And the way they carry themselves, like you could have, with showing the two of them, like they're clearly friends, they're lifelong friends. One thing that's interesting to me is like the fact that they're reminiscing about this thing that they did that was important to them, over 30 years ago. And now to have it kind of documented, like, and talked about with like reverence, like I can't even remember things that happened, a half hour ago, let alone like creative projects that were like, there was stuff I did 10 years ago that was really important to me, but there's no footage of it. It's just in my head. So that has to be kind of a surreal experience for them.
Yeah, I'm sure it was interesting to reflect. And I mean, I think initially we were going to interview them independently. And when you see the doc, you see that we interviewed them together. And I think that was really the only way to do it, because they clearly riff on each other. They still have that sense of like, finishing each other's sentences. And I mean, they could have independently said that we're still tight, we're still friends and whatever. But I think to actually see them together on screen, it's clear that like you couldn't fake that. Like they're still like in lockstep with each other,
Yeah, I was expecting like a Eastman and Laird, like the Ninja Turtles guys, like there's like drama and you're bringing them back together for the sake of the Snapper community. Say that.
Right.
So you said you guys did this pre-pandemic, right? So what is the process of, finishing this up, getting it out in front of people? Like, where are people going to be able to check this out?
So it's been playing festivals, thankfully, and it had a run at the Coolidge Corner Theater in Boston, which is one of our house cinemas here that we love. And there's I've entered it into a bunch of festivals, and so far so good. But we'll see. It's going to hopefully have a nice, healthy run throughout the course of this year, and we'll see what happens. That's the plan, anyway.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
David, what I mean, as you guys show this to people, is there common trends? Are there reactions that are surprising to you guys? Or sometimes when you work on a creative project of any kind, and it's always that thing when people start seeing it for the first time and you're taking a deep breath, like you don't know how people are going to react. So are you guys, is it getting the reaction you're hoping for? Is it better than you thought maybe? Because like, to be completely honest, like I said, I didn't know much about it going into it, but I
found myself, I was like, this is delightful.
Yeah,
like
I
going
was
through
delighted.
it. Yeah.
That was a great word.
Yeah.
So, what has kind of the reaction been?
Well, I've been not, I shouldn't say pleasantly surprised, because I thought that we had a cool project, but John and I would talk about losing objectivity and being a certain amount, like we're working hard on this thing. And the question is it as cool as we think it's going to be? Like, you just worry that you're seeing something that others with a fresh viewing are not going to see. And I think that the reaction to it has been overwhelmingly positive. In a way that I was hoping we would see, which is that, again, it's for filmmakers to watch it and kind of relate to the story of projects they've tried to launch and worked hard at and just ultimately didn't get to come to fruition. There's also just the humanity of it, just the collaboration between friends, doing their best. I don't think they regret the experience, and spending $8,000 in 1990 to put together a project. That's a lot more money today. And when you're a student, when you're a young person, that's a lot more money than it would be even now. So I think the reaction's been really great. And in some ways it's a bit of, I hope that Mark and Mike feel a little bit vindicated to having made the effort, that it isn't completely in vain, that, they took those lessons and they moved forward and applied them to more films and projects they worked on. But Snapper did have another life, and it's turned into a charming story about what it is to collaborate and come up with cool ideas. And I'm sure so many people can relate to getting together with a friend and meeting and spending hours on a script and just trying to get it as good as you can, and seeing the whole movie kind of come to life once you have that script kind of done, and saying, how are we not going to get this financed? We love it. Everybody's going to love it. I think it's been great to see the reactions.
Definitely relatable content, problematic shoots, things like that.
We've been through that. I mean, we've all worked
footage we've paid for that didn't have any audio, all sorts of things.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. We've invested.
We've all been through that, but I think that's kind of the relatable thing. If I think that's why creators and filmmakers will get a kick out of this, because that thing of any story of somebody putting it all on the line or investing it, it's like everybody the Kevin Smith, I put $27,000 on a credit card to make Clerks, and then you have a career after that. 99% of the time, a lot of creatives do put that effort in and do put their ass on the line, but it's hard to make it work. It's hard to land, so Jake, I want to give you a shout out though, or you can shout yourself out. This is your show. I really enjoyed the storyboards. That's very cool.
Thank you.
How does that come about? They just have pages that were going to either be part of the original trailer or the original script that you guys got access to?
Well, that's a question. That's a question for John.
Well, I'm asking John.
Yeah. Well, so there were parts of the story, and part of kind of putting it together. They sent us the script for Snapper, which they really had 100-page script. They wrote a movie, a feature length, which is so cool. And then as we were interviewing them, and they sort of broke down the tentpole moments of Snapper. One of the disadvantages of making a documentary about a movie that never got made is that you don't have a lot of primary source material to work with. So there were things that we were it'd be great to have these represented,
Yeah.
And so when Dave and I talked about it, we were like, how are we going to do this? Are we going to do it with stock footage clips that we license? Are we going to do original art? What are we going to do? I thought of Jacob immediately. And I was like, maybe we can hire my buddy Jacob, who's great and who has an affinity for turtles and reptiles and all those things. And
really
maybe he want to do it. And so I approached Jake and we worked it out, man. And it was great.
No, it was really cool.
Yeah.
John, David, I appreciate that. That was to me that was really, I was really happy to do that. And I don't know, it's just exciting to see. It's exciting to work on that kind of a thing. It's exciting. John, you're a friend of mine. It's just that's my kind of thing, dude. Turtle film, killer turtle. Dude, have not stopped talking about it. You know, I'm very excited to be a part of it, and I
Like,
appreciate it, dude.
But
sure.
that's like that enthusiasm.
It's exciting.
Like, you get so. One of the things I love about stories like this are like the what ifs. Like what could have been. Like what if they would have got the financing? What if it would have come out and be like a cult classic? Or like what if they got the opportunity to like do it now? Like I don't know. Like your mind kind of starts going. Like I would love to. Happen. Yeah,
it might happen.
Oh, let's talk about that. Well, what's the deal?
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think there are people I think that are interested in the original story, and anything could happen.
That.
Yeah.
If anything, let's do a script reading.
Yeah.
There you go.
That'd be fun.
Find out more about that cop.
Yeah.
I think back to Jacob being involved too. I think one of the things that I was so excited about to work with Dave, because Dave's really talented. He's a good friend, and I was lucky to have him work on this with me, and I was lucky to have Jacob, and it kind of mirrored the experience of the guys making Snapper in a lot of ways, which was like friends coming together for the cause of making something cool and just like making it happen, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And there were other people. I mean, Barry Clegg, who works with Dave and I at GBH, he did a lot of the motion graphic stuff. It was mixed by our mixer at GBH, who does a lot of frontline mix. So it was kind of like a family affair, you know? And so it mirrored Snapper, which I thought was nice.
That's very cool.
That's a cool legacy to have. Yeah.
Yeah. And we all work on front lines, which are some of the most dour, suck the air out of the room with hard, journalism about, really, really hard to accept things in life happening. And I think for sometimes we just need something to clear the palate of all that, heaviness.
Sure.
And, it's a great program, but it's, very often it's not always a happy ending, usually not. So to work on something that's uplifting and positive, I think it's always welcome. We need to balance that out. What was interesting, it was funny, I was thinking about it recently, was this was a time back in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, Robert Rodriguez came out with El Mariachi, which was this $7,000, opus action film that he like begged, borrowed, and stealed. I think he like stayed in an inpatient facility getting medical tests done on him to earn the $7,000 to go and shoot El Mariachi. And then ended up getting picked up by Miramax and, going to Sundance. And that was a story that everybody heard about at the time as being like, listen, you can be a guy who just basically lets somebody draw blood for 6 weeks and you can make a movie that can put you on out there and succeed. And I think a lot of people ran with that concept saying, oh my God, you just have to really want to do it. And it's not like you have to be invited into that world. Make something, just make it, and you'll roll the dice, see what happens. You might just turn up lucky.
Right. And like you guys were saying, like nowadays, I mean, you see stories all the time about people, financing their own short films, and those get optioned or they get deals, or, or they're, it's weird now because people make a short film and it's optioned and now it's like an audio podcast or something weird. Like there's just so much more opportunity now. So it just kind of goes back to like, this is a cool story that can shed light on something that otherwise nobody would have ever known about. And now we get to have like a whole conversation about it.
Yeah, to have a continued legacy. Exactly.
So cool.
To have it go on like that. That's really cool.
I think the other cool thing to speak to like the horror genre that I didn't really realize until Snapper started playing little festivals was that there seems to be an appetite for content that either is lost or was never made. So like the George Romero film that is now going to be coming on Shudder, and like there's a book coming out in August called Untold Horror, which is like this awesome book with interviews with like Joe Dante, all these big horror filmmakers about scripts and stories that they never got to make. And it seems like there's a growing appetite for stuff. I don't know if it's like horror fans are getting fatigued. Like, how long can we talk about Nightmare on Elm Street and like Evil Dead? As great as that stuff is,
right?
Yeah.
Like, what else can we talk about with Halloween? And so there seems to be this growing interest in that kind of content, like lost films or stuff that was never made or stuff that wasn't finished. And so it seems like maybe Snapper's hitting at the right time, where there seems to be like people interested in learning more about that stuff, because Snapper, like, there's got to be a million Snapper stories out there,
right? Here's what we need.
And
that's
Jake. Something I thought about too. Once this documentary is over, I was like, well, okay, well, I want to watch another one. Like, I immediately want to watch another documentary about another like immediately. I was like, okay, John, make another one.
I'd watch that series.
What's next?
This is what I want. I want a legacy sequel to Snapper. Imagine this, the legacy sequel to the movie that never existed in the first place. You bring back the original characters, Snapper's back, and everyone's like, oh, that was great. Where's the first one? Like, it doesn't exist. There's a documentary about it. No, that's really cool. And yeah, John, I agree with you. Like, I think in any of these communities or subcultures, like, there's an appetite for those little hidden gems and those, what, like, kind of what I was saying earlier, like the what could have beens.
Sure.
So yeah. So like, what happens next? Like, you guys are just running the festivals, and it's just kind of like you're both experienced in this, and you've made documentaries before. You kind of. Oh, sorry. Our cat just ripped off Abby's headphones. Are you okay?
Okay. This is now like a running theme.
Yeah.
Does she have a question?
Yeah. Does the cat have a question?
She did, actually.
The cat's
she
like,
wanted to know more about
is
the
there a
special...
cat in the sequel to Snapper?
Yes.
That's what she wants.
Were any cats harmed?
Those snapping turtles can't come on land, can they? So yeah. So like, what?
They
Yeah,
can.
they can.
If you watch the documentary, you would have known that, Craig.
Okay. What's the? What's next? Long way of saying what's next, David
For Snapper?
or John? Yeah, just in general, like once you get to this step where you've put in the work, it's edited, it's produced, it's locked basically, and it's playing festivals. Is it just basically like, are you gathering data? Are you gathering feedback, or is it just now it just takes on a life of its own, and you get to sit back and watch people enjoy it?
You want to take it, Dave?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, John, you in some ways you're really a lot more knowledgeable about sort of where you want it to go next. I mean, I think to my earlier point about it catching on through an online audience and people becoming aware of it, you never know what it's going to lead to. That's one of the beauties, I think, about media being democratized so well these days, and finding its way into podcasts like yours and other types of forums. Is that you never know what's going to be stimulated to cause another project to happen. I think this short was in many ways, I mean, John and I have worked for a while on a number of things, but I think this was our most invested collaboration together, as it really was, for a while, just the editing. It was he and I figuring out how to get this story told and what footage to include, and then going and starting to bring in other people to do things that he and I weren't able to do ourselves. So I think that was what was really great for us, is to be able to go and say, hey, we can do this and not want to kill each other, make this project and enjoy the process.
Yeah.
And that's important to learn if you're going to collaborate with somebody. There's the real, like, the excitement about the idea, and then there's the real doing it, and having that experience, right? and knowing the styles of the way that you approach things, and it I think it affirmed that John and I have really good collaborative styles. As well as everybody else that we worked with on it. So I just hope it gets more people interested in hearing these kind of things. I've always been a fan of making of film type stories, whatever, Hearts of Darkness, The Making of Apocalypse Now, or all these others. In some ways, those stories to me are really important to help filmmakers feel like everybody suffers for their projects. There's nobody just going to the craft services table, getting the shots done and going home at 7 p.m. without problems. It's always going to be a struggle. Some are more nightmarish struggles than others, but they're never going to be simple. And some of them don't get finished. There's the Terry Gilliam project about Don Quixote and so forth. There are projects that, with the best of intentions, just don't get to the completion for whatever reasons have occurred. And everybody has, nothing but a bad time working on it. And I think that's what a lot of filmmakers want to hear, is that they're struggling, and that doesn't mean that they don't have talent or hard work. Everybody struggles, and It's always going to be an adaptation of figuring out how to overcome certain problems and challenge your own weaknesses. And Snapper wasn't always, a case in point. Snapper wasn't always completely clear to us the right way to tell it, but you work through it and you get to the place that you feel like, okay, yeah, we went through it, we figured out what works. And you feel that breakthrough moment that is just satisfying and saying, okay, we solved this problem. It's and I think filmmakers are problem solvers. And that's the thing. You can't just imagine the great story, and that because you don't get it out there, that you shouldn't be a filmmaker. I think you should know that it's going to be challenging for everybody, no matter who you are, and enjoy the process of the discovery of the solutions. And then that, okay, you earned making this film as good and as enjoyable as it is for people to watch.
Yeah. And I think the hardest thing in the world to do is get a movie made. Like, even big budget movies, like to get to that finish line is it feels like impossible. Like we're watching that documentary about Masters of the Universe, and they talk about the Masters of the Universe movie in 1987 with Dolph Lundgren, and like with a week left in shooting, the whoever was financing it just ran out of money. They just shut it down. Like they were in the middle of shooting and the lights went out. And then they had to, like, the filmmakers and they had to figure out a way. So that way, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. It's interesting. There's like the final battle is basically like the lights are off and there's two like Skeletor and He-Man are battling because they didn't have money to do anything. Like it was way stripped down. So like, and that's just like one anecdote about like, I'm sure there's, and we're talking about, obviously you guys are doing passion project, putting together a documentary, or like these guys, they're doing their passion project 30 years ago, trying to get something financed. It's just crazy. Now, one thing I did want to bring up, and I don't want to spoil it, but when I saw it, I was like, I got to talk about this. The stuntman, the on fire stuntman going out the window. I was like, I want to know how this factored into this movie. Because
I think that's the question that came up the most out of anybody who was like, where did this get to be part of a turtle? Like on the second floor of a warehouse. How did the turtle get up there?
Yeah.
What's that story?
Awesome. It was so awesome.
It seems like one of those things where some dude was just, I can do this. And they were like, well, that makes no sense. But if you can do it, we're going to put it in there.
Like if he would have been like, I can juggle, like we got to have a juggling scene. Like he can do it. Like we got like.
Totally. Yeah. And the dilemma for Dave and I was like, which take to use of him flying off the building on fire, because they did like 5 or 6 different takes. Like this guy was all for it. And
that's so.
I'm happy to report that he went to LA, did like 30 years of fire stunts, and is now retired in Hawaii. So he earned his badges.
Wow,
very good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Good for him.
Story.
Yeah, and I guess that's
another the car crash too. That car crash is another thing. Stuntman.
Yeah, that's right. He was in the car too. He drove that car. Yeah.
That wasn't the turtle then. Okay.
Yeah, they flip the car in the junkyard and leave it. I love that.
Yeah,
it just looks so awesome.
But I think that's what you do when you think of production value, right? You're like, what can we do to make this a sexier trailer to get people looking at us and taking us seriously?
Right.
And I think that's one of those things you see. It's like, hey, we've got production value. We're going to set a guy on fire. You can't just do that with your friends for fun and film it. There's obviously some amount of preparation and skill and expertise. Mm-hmm. So let's show them that we can do that. It doesn't have to make sense. It just has to be there.
Of course.
Right.
I mean, it probably isn't. There's not enough beer and pizza to give your friend to set him on fire. It's just not going to work.
But that's what's fun about the genre. Like I always tell this story about, but I'm going to tell it again for like the 100th time on this podcast. Fascinated with horror as a kid. Deathly afraid to watch the vast majority of it. But when I would go to Blockbuster, go to the local video store, I would immediately go to the horror section, look at all the VHS covers, and that, I mean, it was mostly movies I've never seen and still haven't seen. Like I've never seen April Fool's Day, but I know that cover. Like I know the whatever it is, the noose and the ponytail. I think that's what it was. And like I think that's the cool thing about horror in general is like more so than any other, like nobody cares about low budget. Like nobody ever heard of this drama or comedy because it probably isn't very good. But there's something so charming and real about horror and like the story of people getting, because like I remember being 12 years old with a camera being like, I want to make a horror movie. Like that, it seems like something I could do.
I made several zombie movies.
Oh, you did?
With my brother, and cousins. Yeah.
Where are they at?
Yeah, let's see them.
I've got to find them. I remember making the blood and everything. Yeah, I mean, that's what's behind it. Like, I think that's what makes it even more interesting is that passion, that drive that makes you want to go that next step to be creative and inventive with special effects and stuff like that. Which is awesome.
I also remember, this is way off topic, I had this obsession of getting on America's Funniest Home Videos, and I thought in my head that I could fake a video, like something not spontaneous, and send it in.
Okay.
And my setup with my friends was they were playing Jaws on Nintendo, and I was like, they're going to be so scared playing this game that I will jump out and scare them, and we will film it, and it will be very funny. So as you can imagine, it wasn't. It wasn't funny.
Today you'd be a TikTok star.
Didn't get on the show.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Now I'm on TikTok.
Cool, nice. And he is.
So
he's doing well.
Well, this is great, and we appreciate you guys coming on to talk about it. This is a lot of fun. I did have a kind of, so we do know that the filmmakers went on to, you know, they got that award with the HBO short. Did they continue their filmmaking career after that? Did they attempt to do other projects, or did they kind of have to? Did they let it go at that point, or is that another story to be told another time?
I mean, I think the short version is that they kept writing. I know they have a lot of scripts, like full feature scripts. I don't know how much filming they did. I mean, they both ended up having their own careers. Mark ended up, you know, having a really successful career in radio. Cool. And Mike is still doing a lot of commercial film stuff in the Worcester area. So then they raised families and kind of just did their thing. And so I think that, you know, they haven't made any more like films, but they're still kicking around ideas, and they're working on Attack of the Killer Refrigerator Part 2. Oh I've seen storyboards, so I can confirm that is happening. So I think they want to put that together at some point. Yeah. So they're still kind of just doing their thing. And yeah.
I mean, there's
For
so much.
day, it's got to be a smart fridge.
Yeah,
right?
it's got to be a smart fridge.
For sure.
The ice maker. Oh, there's so much you could do with that.
Yeah, I like it.
Totally. They're trying.
I love that. Well, cool, guys. So I have to ask, I know, John, you always have ongoing projects and your hands are in a million different things. Should we be on the lookout for anything else coming soon? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I know you've been working on some stuff for a while. Is there anything we can be looking forward to, or should we just wait?
Well, I think for Stephen King fans, I mean, you know, our documentary on It is coming soon, very soon.
That's what I was talking about.
That's what you're.
Yeah, I didn't want.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to put you on the spot, but yeah.
Any like clown related media that you want to share?
Right. Let's say there's 5 friends. Whatever.
More than that.
Yeah.
7.
7.
10. Well,
That's
okay.
the perfect number.
Let's say people have friends.
Craig finishes a book.
And they're in dairy. Let's say
And
that's
fears.
a thing in dairy.
Yeah.
Let's say people are afraid of things.
Yeah. Theoretically. Yeah, no, so that's going to be coming soon. We're going to have some news really soon, and before the end of the year for sure.
Awesome.
This summer.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's my big thing at the moment, getting that finally done. Yeah.
Very cool.
Nice.
David, how about yourself? I imagine you said you both do the stuff at your local PBS station. I imagine that is very labor intensive, and it keeps you, very busy. And that's the thing I always tell, like, we, with podcasting and in our various projects and full-time jobs, it's a lot. I don't know when I sleep sometimes. So.
Yeah, we had a really busy year because obviously with the pandemic, the election, the riots of last summer. I mean, journalism was in overdrive with so much work to do.
Right.
So we actually kind of got into a window between all that to finish up on Snapper. But it was a busy year. Last time I was on with you guys, though, I was talking about my other projects. We're still forging ahead with some partners on Return of the Orca. We're trying to make that happen. Last summer's efforts were really challenging because it was the height of the pandemic. And, as much as, there was a lot of positivity around it and some great press coverage, it still just wasn't the time to be able to raise all the funds that we needed for it. And, you can't just put a boat in the water for, fist bumps and handshakes. You got to get the real money in there.
Right.
Yeah. But we're, the other project is Making the Monster, the Jaws project about the making of Jaws. We're trying to move ahead with that. We've actually got a documentary component that we're talking about that because I'm a native Martha's Vineyard person. And some of the interesting things I've learned about, I mean, there's plenty of Jaws documentaries out there, obviously, that have told the story about the making of it and the challenges. But we've been talking a little bit about how Jaws would actually not have really been able to film if it wasn't for people on Martha's Vineyard who knew the ocean and the environment and how to show these Hollywood people what they were trying to accomplish, which, at one point everybody was in over their head, but it was a bit of a guerrilla filmmaking adventure. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of documentaries about Jaws don't really get into the heart of, is that the collaboration between people on Martha's Vineyard who were mariners and Hollywood people who knew what they knew. They needed to come together and form this collaboration that ultimately got Jaws finished, but was the whole way through the hardest thing anybody's dealt with, So that's the triumph of it. I think it's really interesting, the fact that it turned into that story. Yeah, I think that's the thing. Keep making stuff. I think that's the point. That show the projects like Snapper and other things. We learn, we bond through doing it together. And you never know. I don't think you should necessarily be in it for a big payday. I think you should enjoy storytelling for the sake of itself, and creating awareness or enjoyment. And people want to be told stories. That'll never stop. There's always the desire for new stuff to be told. And I think that anytime you think there's a story worthwhile to tell, you'll always find an audience somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great. That was great.
David, everything you say, everything you say is like a very inspirational TED talk, and I just want to keep listening. I just want to keep listening. So
now, could you guys? So, let's say your parents are complicated. How do I deal with this?
You're trying to get some. Okay,
not your
motivation.
parents, my parents. No, I mean that's great. I like that. I think that's what it is. Like we all work really hard on the things that we do because at the end of the day, we're passionate about them. And like I think that's like the key component. You feel that in the documentary, and obviously you feel that like in just the trailer that they were able to put together. And it's cool. So I think a lot of people are going to get a lot out of it. So. Very awesome. We thank you guys for being here, and you're more than welcome back anytime to talk about any of your projects, or if you can talk about anything. This is great.
Yeah, just give us more inspirational, motivational speeches.
Hey, also, I just want to say, like, congratulations, man, to you guys and to just all of us and everybody, because like it's really cool, like getting to a point where the people and all your friends, like John, I've known you for a couple years, and it's like. I've watched you be like, oh yeah, I really, you love it so much that you're just like friends with those guys now. And it's like, just the fact that all of us are just kind of doing the things that we like and want to do. And you guys got this documentary made, and the other, the Pet Cemetery documentary and the new projects that you guys are working on. It's just cool to be involved and to know you guys, and just, congratulations on all that.
Well, thanks, man.
Thank you.
You guys. Yeah, it goes.
That was
full
also
circle.
inspirational, Jake.
Yes, thank you.
I had to. It's all from David. He gave that to me.
It's his aura. Yeah,
Abby, do you want to say something
inspire you? You can really do anything. Reach for the stars. No, I can't top y'all. Thank you for everything.
No, this is great.
Can we play a Tony Robbins clip in the middle?
Yeah, sure. We'll put it in there. I love that. Well, Snapper, the man-eating turtle movie that never got made. The documentary is out there, and we will keep everybody updated on viewing opportunities, whether it's festivals or otherwise. And yeah, you guys, like I said, come back anytime, and good luck with everything, and congratulations.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us.
Sure.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. That was so cool. Thank you to John Campopiano and David Bigalow for joining us to talk about Snapper. I wish everyone could just I want to give it to everybody, but I can't. But we're going to tell you where to see it when you can. It was awesome. I loved it. It was really cool. It was really, I don't know, it's just kind of felt special. I was excited. And Jake, I know that you literally, we didn't go into it that much, but you've been talking about this like, this is the next big thing. It's Ghostbusters Afterlife and Snapper, and then nothing.
It's what I live for. When I was watching it, I have watched it a few times because, like I said, me and John are, we're buddies, and he'll, send clips back and forth. Even before he asked me to be involved with it, I had seen a few clips, pictures of the turtle and stuff like that. But dude, it was very exciting to see it come together, and just to just to be a part and work on something like that. Whenever I was watching it last night, I think I've seen it maybe 3 or 4 times at this point. But when I watched it again last night, I like sitting in my bed and I took a picture of the TV where my name was in the credits. I'm like, so stupid. Like,
that's
I'm
not
send
stupid.
This to my mom.
Jake,
I'm gonna send this to mom and be like, Mom, I'm in the credits.
I mean,
Mom.
you could have
did you take a picture of the you drawing of when you're in it?
I wonder. You know what? That's something.
I was like,
that
that's Jake.
John's gonna listen to this now and be like, that fucker put himself in my movie, because I don't think John's ever mentioned that to me. But I sent a clip to a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Just showing them, like, oh, look, some of my work is in this documentary. And 2 seconds later, they sent me a screenshot and they were like, is this supposed to be you? I was like, is this you? Did you draw yourself in here? I'm like,
well, it's easy to tell because you're wearing a name tag that says, my name is Jake from Yes, Podcast.
Jake, go host.
By the way, Abby, good.
It's just a YHS shirt.
Good crinkling on that
Crinkles?
on the
I know
Capri
you
Sun
like.
over there.
Thank you.
Well, thanks to John and David. Very cool. Love talking to those. Those guys are great.
Yeah,
inspirational. I love it.
Yeah, for real.
Real quick, I would be remiss not to mention this. We have been plugging the YHS Patreon. Things are happening over there. All I'm going to say is the Patreon episode we put up in the regular $5 tier this week.
As the kids say, it's the tea. We're giving you the tea.
We're spilling the tea.
Well, we should. I think. I'm not to cut you off, Craig, but
Yeah.
I feel like we should throw in a little clip, maybe even right here. Throw in a little clip.
There's going to
I
be
could do a little
clip
crinkle.
on the feed or something, because honestly,
We're
like,
going to
we
give a
got
little
done-
preview.
Dude, we got done with that episode, and I had this moment where I took my headphones off, and I was like, "This means something.
This was good.
This is an important episode."
This
like
was
Richard
good.
Dreyfuss looking at his mashed potatoes.
Exactly.
It did mean something. I listened to some of it, and it's like it felt good to get out
I didn't
there.
need to.
It's
I
a whole
said
new
it.
world.
I didn't listen to it because I'm not a patron.
Oh,
Jake doesn't have access.
I had no way to. I had no
Listen,
access to it.
We always give our all, but I did have multiple people saying that was the best hour of YHS audio content.
Holy shit. And
And
it's
Ryan-
behind a paywall.
go ahead and toot that horn.
Craig hates that. Craig hates when the good stuff being behind
I
the paywall.
do.
like
I want to make it all free.
I like it though.
Thank you.
Thank
Abby.
you.
Ryan was with us, Ryan Dole, and we just talked, and we covered a lot of ground. We talked about the Ghostbusters fan community. We talked about Answer the Call. We didn't talk about ghost heads, but I'm going to make a little proclamation right now.
Okay.
People, for a long time, people will ask us about ghost heads. Yes, there's a documentary about Ghostbusters. It's called Ghost Heads, by Ghostbusters fans. Abby and I are in it, and that movie's a little polarizing. People got opinions. We've got opinions. And sometimes we've danced around it a little bit. This is what I'm going to say. At some point, and we haven't ironed out all the details yet, so I don't want to make any firm announcements. At some point, we will have a full Patreon-only Ghost Heads breakdown. Whether it's a commentary, a review, a minute-by-minute, a play-by-play.
Dude,
we'll do something.
I think we should step it up and not only do an episode, we'll do an episode, a Ghost Heads episode.
Yeah.
But we should step it up and then also do
Yes.
maybe one of those live
Watch-alongs?
Watch.
one of those watch-alongs that we're doing. And
Okay, that sounds
I don't
good.
know what tier it is, but it would, maybe we
And
should do
then
Ghost Heads for one.
we'll even take it another level, and we'll do one of those fan recreations where we do a shot-by-shot remake of the whole movie.
Oh,
Just
nice.
remake your own
With other actors?
Yes.
Okay.
with us. We play the three
We
of us.
play everybody.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to think about all of this. Honestly, I think we're going to have to ask for something from our patrons. Like, we're going to have to get
Forgiveness.
Like more of them.
Forgiveness. Yeah.
No, we're going to figure it out. But all we're saying is the Patreon community is awesome, and we really appreciate everybody's support. And we got a lot going on over there. Next week, we are doing our Ernest Scared Stupid full breakdown and review. Abby's never seen it.
I can't wait.
I haven't seen it in 30 years.
I haven't seen any Ernest movies.
Jake hasn't seen it since 2 weeks ago, probably.
Yeah.
But I wanted to
basically.
bring this up. This is an article that came out today. This is completely separate from what I'm talking about. Kevin Bacon. There's an interview with Kevin Bacon. He's reflecting on his career. And he says that he has no interest in revisiting any movie or character that he has ever played in his life, except for Tremors. He was bummed when the TV series didn't get picked up. He's still angling to come back to that franchise, and God damn it, they need to make that happen, because that's something I would like to see.
Isn't it kind of insane that it hasn't? Because at this point, we live in a world where they'll remake everything or make sequels to everything.
Sure.
And the fact that Kevin Bacon's he's a well-known star, he's a big star, and the fact that he wants to come back to a cult classic film that usually stars that are in old horror movies that go on to become big stars, they usually want nothing to do with whatever
Linda
that
Blair.
movie is. And the fact that Kevin Bacon wants to come back
Sorry, I'm doing
and
Matthew
do something
McConaughey
with
Texas
Tremors,
Chainsaw.
it's just ridiculous. I can't believe that it's not happening.
And it's also crazy that Matthew McConaughey is going to run for the governor of Texas, and he was in that Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. I think they need to.
I didn't know that. That needs to be his platform.
Texas Chainsaw Governor.
No, yeah, I agree, man. I would love to see Kevin Bacon. Like, I'm not like a diehard Tremors fan. I think I've only seen the first two, but I think
Big Reba fan.
Those are the only two you really need to watch.
But I would love that.
Returns.
And I would love for. I just like that. It's cool when you see somebody have reverence for something that you wouldn't think they would.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 30th anniversary of What About Bob right now, and all those articles about the ongoing feud, or the feud that happened on set between Richard Dreyfuss and Bill Murray are hitting. And Richard Dreyfuss in this interview said he's ready to forgive Bill Murray. He's ready to
what does that mean? Shut up.
For $20.
The article that came out 2 years ago said that Bill Murray was insanely hard.
I'm ready to
Richard
forgive.
Dreyfuss. And
well, you know what?
He threw an ashtray at him.
Well, you know what? Whenever you hear about stories, you hear a lot of stories about how Bill Murray was maybe an asshole. You also hear lots of stories about Robert Shaw hating Richard Dreyfuss. Hey, at this point, maybe Richard Dreyfuss is the problem.
Maybe.
You hear a lot of stuff about Richard Dreyfuss. I was actually talking about the Richard Dreyfuss Robert Shaw feud today with somebody, and it's like it maybe feels like Dreyfuss brought it all on himself.
We've been around him.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Bill Murray was not in a great place mentally. He was going through a lot when he filmed that movie, and he tormented Richard Dreyfuss. And Bill Murray says the reason he did it was because it brought more to their performances, and I kind of believe it. Because
I do too.
Richard Dreyfuss halfway through that movie looks like he wants to murder Bill Murray.
Is it worth it? At what cost? That's like being abusive to your sons when you're a better football player.
Here's the thing.
No, I don't want any Valium. Sorry.
Here's the thing. It's worth it to me because I get to watch the movie.
Okay.
Maybe it wasn't.
Don't you
worth
see this man is crazy? he didn't even know what they were filming. He was talking about Bill Murray.
He didn't even know. Yeah, he didn't even know it was being recorded. He just thought. Do you think he had flashbacks back to Robert Shaw?
Well, this man, Harvard-educated man, comes on my boat. I don't know if he was Harvard educated, but Richard Dreyfuss, if you look at him in like the 70s, he was like this. I don't know. He carried himself in like he had that I'm better than you attitude, and maybe he was, but just like, I don't know. But then like, he had all those drug issues in the 80s and kind of went away for a long time, and then he came back. And anyways.
Civics.
And now he's teaching civics. I like Richard Dreyfuss. I love that he does conventions, and that's kind of what got me talking about that, is like, he seems to have reverence for those characters in those movies. And I like that he likes talking about Jaws and doesn't really shy away from it. Because it's always a bummer when, I mean, we've dealt with this as Ghostbusters fans forever. It's like knowing that Bill Murray didn't want to do more Ghostbusters it was always a bummer. Now he's doing it. And everything's fine.
And also, like, I don't want to keep coming back. I don't want it to sound like we're just constantly trying to push the Patreon here, but like we did we do have like a Patreon only Instagram, and I posted a 5-minute long video of Richard Dreyfuss talking about Robert Shaw. There was I went to a convention a couple years ago called SharkCon, and for the VIP experience, they closed the convention down, kick everybody out, and the remaining people who were VIP got to just sit and have like a panel chat, like a 2-hour thing with Richard Dreyfuss, and he talked about Robert Shaw a lot. He had an entire thing where he talked about the feud and how that came up and what the feud actually was like, and it was. So it's good. It's good to listen to him.
So you're telling me Richard Dreyfuss did not piss on Robert Shaw's grave? That didn't happen.
I'm not saying that didn't happen.
I could just see about there.
He's like, not.
Look at me. I'm pissing on your grave. And you're not here to defend yourself. I don't know. I fucking love. I love
That
the
probably
Dreyfus.
didn't happen.
I love the Dreyfus.
Yeah.
This is a Seinfeld episode?
I love
Love the Dreyfus.
the Dreyfus is good. The Dreyfus is wise. Hey,
Gotta support the Dreyfus.
by the way, Abby,
Yes.
we totally forgot.
Yeah.
Jake and I did a 25th anniversp episode of Twister. You weren't even there.
I know. I wasn't
yeah, what
feeling
the
well.
fuck?
I'm so upset.
In 30 seconds, tell me what you think about the movie. Twister. No, I'm just
Is
kidding.
that what you think happened, Craig? I watched that movie like not last night, but the night before. I put it on, and it's great. It's
amazing.
It's like our kids' life.
Christ, Joe, you
part of
couldn't
our
help
DNA.
it, could you? It's fucking awesome. Watch Twister every day.
Serious.
So
It's
what else,
good.
guys?
It's funny. It holds up.
We're gonna wrap up here in a few. Like I said, it was cool having John and Dave on, and clearly we've been so friggin' busy lately.
Busy. I know. That's what I
Abby
was saying.
launched your show.
Launched a show Monday night. It was a success. It was a lot of fun. A new episode of The Bad Batch drops tomorrow, so I'm gonna get up and watch that. And then not the following Monday, but the Monday after that, we'll have another show 9:30 live on YouTube.
Just if you're not a subscriber to the Yes Have Some YouTube, I would get over there and get updated and on all these streams, and then of course Toy Anxiety every Tuesday night at 9:30, and the Jake U and Jake he just dropped another episode of YHS and Monster Island. Basically, Yes Have Some is now a vehicle to advertise all of our other stuff. So
It is for sure, but I do want to say about Monster Island, if it's the kind of thing that you're maybe a little apprehensive on jumping on listening to because you're not in the Godzilla world or anything like that, it's literally just YHS. Like the last episode we did, we just, me and Jay went back and forth and just talked about monster movies that one or the other of us haven't seen and described them and what was cool about them. And it was, we talked about what toys we bought that week. It's just straight up YHS, but just more monster focused.
Right.
And I gotta say, I want everybody to take a big old deep breath.
Okay.
Namaste.
Are you about to announce another show?
No.
I know.
Not
Good,
yet.
because I can't do another show.
I can't. I'm
I
busy every night
I'm
now.
taking advice. I'm taking the words of what was that guy's name on the YouTube?
Michael Mercy.
Michael Mercy. I'm just want to
Magic Michael.
Mystic. What you said, Mystic Mike. I'm calming everybody down. And what I'm saying is that it is May 20th, 2021, which means we are a mere 2.5 weeks away from Ghostbusters Day.
God. Can we talk
2021.
about it?
Let's talk about
Talk
it.
about it.
We don't know what's going to happen, right? It could.
No.
There's been a lot of speculation. Could be new trailer, probably not.
Yeah.
Maybe new clips, new poster, still image, article, merchandise. We don't know. We never know what Ghostbusters Day is going to be, but we do know this. Yes, Have Some podcast on Ghostbusters Day, the evening of. We will be doing a live stream on YouTube. Normally that would be the Toy Anxiety night. I've got a good feeling we're going to get some new toy reveals. I'm just putting it out there.
Okay.
I don't have any inside information, but if Hasbro was ever going to start launching some info,
Yeah.
Ghostbusters Day would be a good day to do it. But even if we don't, tune in Tuesday night, June 8th, for live Yes Have Some.
Do it.
It's going to be awesome. I'm really excited about it because
Yeah.
no matter what, it's fun once or twice a year to have the YHS Prime Ghostbusters community come together. And this is it, folks. I don't want to stress anybody out. I'm going to grab the mic here. Remember earlier when David was doing inspirational speeches?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm about to do mine.
Okay.
So I promised myself I wouldn't cry. Listen. That was a horrible Mike Myers impression, by the way.
That was not good.
By the way, I got to put this mic back because it's making it longer.
I like that you called it YHS Prime. That just sounds good to me.
That's good.
YHS
That's the name
That's
of the
what we
main
are.
show, YHS Prime.
main show. Yeah.
It's Prime. All right.
How would you like your YHS Prime? Rare.
Very rare because we barely do it anymore.
Just as rare as possible.
We're too busy
Nice.
doing everything else. YHS is evolving into its final form because Ghostbusters Afterlife, the third movie in the Ghostbusters trilogy, for now, is coming. You can't predict it. You can't see it. It's bearing down on you. Total greenage. Suck zone.
You're just quoting random.
I'm just quoting Twister.
Take
What's
a
he
look
called?
what's right in front of you, Joe.
Me.
You never cared about kids or a house or all the neat stuff like that. Hey,
All sorts of neat stuff like that.
Hey, what's he called Jonas? He calls Jonas something so
You
funny.
son of a bitch! He calls him a son of a bitch 4 times.
No.
Yeah, but there is another.
He calls him when she goes, "Who's that?" It's Jonas Miller. He's a night crawler.
He's a night
but that
Is that what he calls him?
So he does call him a night crawler, but that that's a legitimate term. You know, the movie that came out. There's a movie that was released a couple years ago called Nightcrawler.
Okay.
And it's about what's Jake Gyllenhaal's character? A nightcrawler are those kind of people who show up at a scene of a crime and film it and try to sell that footage to you know.
Oh, okay.
Oh, like
That's
okay.
that's an actual thing. And hey, what's funny is that in that movie Nightcrawler, Bill Paxton is in it and he plays a Nightcrawler.
Oh.
Somebody has
Whoa.
who's lived so long that he's become the
He's
villain.
seen himself become the villain.
Wow.
What I'm saying is, as I quote Twister to describe my excitement for Ghostbusters,
That's also Nightcrawler is also a great movie.
I haven't
You
seen
should
it.
watch it.
That's
and Nightcrawler
an
is
interesting
also
premise.
in the X-Men. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, maybe that's what he was talking about. Maybe he was talking about X-Men Nightcrawler.
No, we've been waiting a very, very long time for this movie. We have been chasing Ghostbusters 3, chasing that dragon. Probably shouldn't have said that. That's a
Don't
drug
say it
You
reference.
like
said you were
that
chasing
sounds-
Ghostbusters 3. Deep down, I always thought it was a metaphor.
What I'm saying is this. I've been I talked about this on Patreon. I'm not going to talk about it too much, but I've been working on this video, the history of Ghostbusters 3. It's going to be a video series.
You've talked about it. I've been hearing about it.
History
all
of
day.
Ghostbusters Afterlife. And it's going to be up soon, hopefully by next week. But I've been doing this research. I've been reliving the drama of the last 20 years of developing Ghostbusters 3. And I'm telling you what, this was not supposed to happen. This movie is a sequence of events this is the classic thing people always say. If you would have wrote this in a script, they would have said, no way. Unrealistic. This would never. People always say that when telling stories. So stupid. Anyways, what I'm saying is we've waited a long time for this movie. It's been delayed multiple times, obviously. We all know that. November 11th. 11th? 12th. November 2021. It's coming. Ghostbusters Day. I'm going to call the official, unofficial beginning of the marketing. The countdown. It's here. It's coming.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. I'm also nervous. I'm stressed. I'm apprehensive. I'm sweating.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like as like very similar to The Force Awakens, right? But actually much different than The Force Awakens, right? Because there was the prequels, and Star Wars had kind of been around as an entity. And of course, we did get Answer the Call. But this is a movie that they have been actively trying to somehow get off the ground for the better part of 15 years. And there's been bumps in the road, and there's been tragedy, and there's been ups and downs, and there's been hints of hope, and there's the video game, and then Bill Murray's doing it, and then Bill Murray's not doing it, and then Harold Ramis says we're doing it, and then Harold Ramis passes away, and then Answer the Call, and then there's going to be another movie, and then it's just been crazy. And then our savior, Jason Reitman.
Good brother Jason.
Good brother Jason. Walks into Sony and says, stop it. He does it Jacob Walsh. He goes, stop it.
Yeah. I think he probably kicked the door in.
He did. I was
Kicked
there.
the door and then slowly walked in and said, hey, everything you're doing is bad.
Stop it.
He said,
Listen to me.
listen to me. I'm an award-winning director. No bullshit here. Who are you going to call? Me. That's the answer.
I'm the man that will draw myself into your movie.
It's just exciting stuff, man. I'm excited, and I want everybody to know that no matter what happens with the Ghostbusters franchise going forward, no matter if we have 5 more Ghostbusters movies and an animated movie and an animated series and toys forever, it's never going to be like it will be for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
So
Never,
savor it.
ever again.
Never
It's
again.
a special time. Like,
Watch 1 year from now, guys. Will Bill Murray be doing Ghostbusters 4 tonight?
we'll never have a time like this ever again.
But seriously, it is.
No,
Now- It's a special, magical little like twilight time, like right before.
it's a bubble.
It's a bubble.
And know anything about the nature of bubbles?
I know.
They
I
don't
took
last
bubbleology.
They don't last long.
Yeah.
They're made of soap.
So
No, but I'm
they're
serious. Like,
usually made of soap.
I'm very excited. I'm ecstatic, and I think that I think we're more primed and ready to do this. And I love Have Some, and I love our
YHS
community.
primed.
Yep. YHS Prime, and the joy is in the journey. This little build up.
Can I ask you? Could you just stop touching the microphone?
But you touched yours. You took it off. The
But then I put it
and
back.
Then you made an announcement.
I did.
Kurt, go back to the curtain.
It's not for me. It's for the listening audience.
For
Is
the
what you-
listeners,
you
yeah,
crinkle.
the noise.
But anyways, Jake, I don't know. Do you? I mean, are you? We're gonna be. Listen, there's gonna be more Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters related content on this channel and all across all of our channels for the next 6 months than ever before. And even like, I mean, obviously, if you go back to 2016, there was a lot, but it's going to be even more than that because there's going to be so much merchandise and so many interviews. And you got Paul Rudd, and Carrie Coon, and you got Bill Murray,
Finn Wolfhard,
Ernie Hudson, McKenna Grace,
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd.
Doing the circuit. It's going to be like a nonstop. Holy shit! People constantly sending you things and updates. And
You're gonna be
links
sick
and
of
things.
it.
Yeah.
You're not gonna want to see a mini puffed. Mm-hmm. You're gonna be like, oh, where's the fucking ghost that was on Leslie Jones' shoulders? Give me that. Sick of all this other stuff.
I think we should probably, maybe we should do some sort of maybe we should get the cross rip over here and do some sort of a round table right before all this stuff starts. I don't know, just so we can all comfort each other.
Yeah.
So we can
Okay.
hold each other. So
Well,
we can
Jake,
have
you had that
discussions,
idea
try
of
to figure out.
getting everybody who's ever done a Ghostbusters podcast for like the world's biggest Ghostbusters podcast.
I think we absolutely should do that. We'll put it out here right now. We talked
do
about this. We talked about this behind the scenes a couple months ago, just trying to come up with some ideas. And it would be great to get whoever's done a Ghostbusters podcast in the past.
Troy, Chris,
Ron
Matt Provençal,
Daniels, yeah, just get all these people, get them in a room together. Well, a Zoom room or something, and let's talk about what's about to happen. You know, let's get everybody's perspectives and just see what everybody's thinking, how they feel.
Ghostbusters
about-
Anonymous meeting.
Exactly.
and then also
we're all about to go through something.
Yeah.
let's trademark all of their properties and present them with Ron Daniels as our lawyer. Be like, we now have some
we have
oaths.
purchased you.
We own
Ron Daniels.
Ron Daniels will be like,
By
listen.
joining us tonight, we have purchased them.
Ron Daniels is like, I would like to present to you, all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, the Yes Have Some podcast, who are now the official owners of the trademark Ghostbusters Interdimensional Cross Rip, Cross the Streams Radio, Ghost Core, Ghostbusters. We just own it all.
She was like, we didn't sign up for this.
No, I think something like that would be great. I love it because listen. At the end of the day, this is a small community. It's a big community, but it's a small community. We need to shepherd the positivity and the excitement. We are shepherds. We are Jack Shepherd.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Let's get Jack Shepherd on the episode.
You ever notice how Jack Shepherd
think
always
he'll do
smiles when he's stressed? He's like, Kate.
I was reading a thing to completely get off topic of Ghostbusters. How weird would it have been if the original idea for Jack Shepherd would have happened and it was going to be Michael Keaton?
Oh right.
Did you know this? It was going to be.
They were
going to
kill him off though, in like
and then
the
he was
pilot.
going to die in the first episode.
Yeah.
But
Drew
once
Barrymore
they decided to keep him, Michael Keaton bowed out. Do you think Michael Keaton saw what Lost became and was like, oh, maybe I should have done that?
I bet
It would have
Michael
been a
Keaton's
different
like
show.
this. He's like, yeah, I never even watched that. I've never seen any of the Batman movies either. But me, I'm how do I say that? I'm Batman. Is that a good Michael Keaton? I don't know. I feel like
It's okay. It's in there. I can see it in there. If
it's
you
like
do
this?
a little bit of
My
if
eyebrow?
you do a
You
little
got
bit
the
of
face.
chiseling,
Yeah.
if you do a little bit of chiseling, you could probably find that that impression.
okay. I get a little chiseled out.
Yeah.
in there.
Audio listeners don't get it as much as.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, come on, sad. Oh, sure.
Okay. Well, that's a Beetlejuice.
different. That's a
You've gone
That's
from Michael Keaton
Beetlejuice.
to Beetlejuice. That's different. It's not the same.
All right.
Okay.
All
You
right.
did
I
it.
was like, was that it?
You're fired,
Hold
Craig.
on. Let me go to my notes. Spontaneous Michael Keaton lost conversation. All right, we covered that.
Moment of silence after. Nice.
All right. Well, this was great. I'm excited. We got a big couple weeks coming up. Lots of stuff. Stay tuned for all the news and updates on all of our social media channels.
Yes.
We absolutely love you guys. This is awesome. This is so exciting.
Yes.
We need that trailer.
Gonna say that trailer.
But I'm not ready yet. I'm okay if we don't get the trailer on Ghostbusters Day. Let's
We're not going to.
slow roll it.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna need something to look forward to post Ghostbusters Day pre-Olympics.
Yeah. It's gonna be a
Okay.
tough time for us all.
Maybe that's when they'll start. Maybe the 2021 Tokyo Olympics are brought to you by Ghostbusters Afterlife. The gold medal of Ghostbusters movies. Just tossing it out there now.
Okay.
I am looking forward to see what kind. By the way, can I just say something? Our house feels like a fucking terrarium.
There's so
There's
many
a
moths.
moth. There's
We've got
cats.
a bright ass light in here. There's moths. There's cats.
Mothra. No, I'm excited to see what kind of crossovers we get. Some fast food tie-ins, maybe a Happy Meal, Baskin Robbins. Give me something.
Yeah.
I'm just excited.
can't wait.
You know what?
Yeah.
Let's do an episode too, a mainline, well, YHS Prime episode very soon
Okay.
called Predicting Ghostbusters Afterlife. All the other stuff. Not the movie, just everything else. The merch, the food,
Okay.
mostly that. Will Ecto Cooler be back? I don't think so. I'm saying no this time.
Okay, but what about
Yeah,
some
I
sort of a
don't know.
marshmallow component?
Oh, there's going to be a shit ton of
Well, that's
marshmallows.
already
That's
That's
already-
out there.
That's already
Australia's
confirmed.
got
Chocolate
'em.
covered, yeah.
Well, listen, everybody.
Australia's got them.
Yeah.
Shout out
I
to-
wanted to do that thing where it seems like I'm predicting something that I've just seen it.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
what,
Just let me have it.
there was one of those.
It was one of them.
The mini puff
The
surprise.
mini buffs, yeah.
Now, I do have one more thing to say, and I meant to do this multiple times over the last couple weeks, but I told him I'd give him a shout out because I bought Marvel Legends from him. Min Win, who is in group therapy, and super nice guy, sold me some Marvel Legends, and he was like, "Can I get a shout out on the pod?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude! What do you want me to plug?" He's like, "Nothing. Just I'd like you to shout me
Just
out."
my kindness.
Just me. Just
And let me tell you what,
Talk
that
about
was
me.
some fast shipping.
Nice.
And he said he
That's
found
what
yes.
we're plugging.
He
Yeah.
said he found yes have some when Matt Cardona mentioned YHS on the Major Wrestling Figure podcast. So it's
Okay.
podcast
Nice.
synergy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why Pixel Dan stopped talking to you.
No, he
That was the hypothetical in our Patreon episode, which you have to sign up for to listen to.
People are gonna be like, "Hey, fuck
What?
that."
Fuck that. That's confusing.
Well, listen, everybody, for Jacob Walsh and Abigail Gardner, and our special guests tonight,
Yes.
David Bigelow and John Campopiano.
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 That's what
Campo-
it. Campopiano.
Campopiano. I'm so sorry.
Wow.
He hates me. I hope he doesn't listen to all the way to the end of the episode.
I hope he does. I'm going to tell him to make sure he does.
He's
John,
gonna be
please
like-
make sure you listen to the entire thing.
He's going to be like, "Wow, Jake drew himself into my movie. Wow, Craig doesn't know my name. Wow. What the fuck?" Dude, I love that guy. Like,
Too. He's very
he
cool.
should
Me too,
have
man.
he should have his own
thing.
horror podcast or
Yeah.
something. Both
I
of
think
them.
he should too. I
Yeah.
think he should too.
Just do an
Yeah.
archive talk.
I'm going to, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Huh.
Hey, we're always hiring.
Get him on. Hey, we'll get him in here. We'll get him
him
on.
in here.
Yeah, get him in. Get him on. Join the team.
And thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Yes Have Some Podcast. Like I always say, you better get fucking ready for this Ghostbusters movie. You know that old phrase.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Savor
you are
it.
a fidgety person tonight. Abby's been doing this for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
She's a fidget spinner. Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.
There's a moth in here.